The latest generation Kia Sportage has an updated look, new technologies, new hybrid engines and new mechanical underpinnings. It's hard to think of a sector that's up against more rivals than the Sportage is, and the reason for that is it's bigger than SUVs like the Seat Ateca, Nissan's Qashqai, VW's Tiguan and Skoda's Karoq. It's a bit smaller than Peugeot's 5008, Land Rover's Discovery Sport and Mazda's CX-5, and it sits in that middle ground between those SUVs, alongside those closely related and similarly sized Hyundai Tucson. And given that competition, Kia has upped its design game dramatically, and it's given the Sportage a very distinctive look to help it stand out from all of those rivals. The previous Sportage was a massive seller, but instead of creating something that looked similar to the previous model, they've gone for a modernised look. The updates start on the outside and continue inside, where the new Sportage has had a major revamp. The infotainment comes in the form of two screens which are joined together at 12.5 inches each. One is for the infotainment and the other is for the driver display. The infotainment system has some nice graphics, a responsive screen with a simple layout, and it's mounted relatively high on the dashboard. The icons are just about big enough to be able to see clearly and hit relatively easily on the move. You still have two dials either side of the binnacle, and what's also quite useful is the fact that you can jump between controlling the air conditioning or the shortcut buttons for the infotainment system. The view can be restricted, however, depending on your driving position. There's quite a lot of adjustment in the steering wheel and the seat, so you will be able to get comfortable. You just might not be able to see absolutely everything on the screen, which is otherwise nice and clear. The range-topping model costs around €44,000, and at that price point, would it be considered as good as a Volvo XC40? Well, the build quality is good, it's all screwed together quite nicely, and it's got a feeling of robustness. The hybrid and plug-in hybrid versions can officially do more than 60 kilometers driving on electric alone. The PHEV version has a low CO2 output of 25 grams per kilometre, and if you keep the battery regularly charged, you could expect to see 4.7 litres per 100 kilometres. The plug-in hybrid technology is offered across a broad range of trim lines, and it combines a 1.6 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol engine with a single electric motor rated at 90 brake horsepower, and this is all powered from a 13.8 kilowatt per hour battery. The total system power is 261 brake horsepower with 350 Newton meters of torque, giving a 0 to 100 km per hour time of 8.2 seconds. Eco is automatically selected from startup in the PHEV. Available modes include EV mode, hybrid mode and automatic, which blends the two. There's also a sport mode and settings for different terrains. The new Sportage is, of course, slightly longer and wider than the older model. To be fair, the old model had good rear seat space anyway. For example, with a 6-foot driver, legroom in the rear is plentiful, with loads of space for your feet under the seats in front. In the back of the car, you get reclining rear seats and USB-C ports. The whole space feels relatively open, spacious and comfortable. Sportage gets a massive 591 litre boot, which is 100 litres more than you got in the previous gen and is quite a bit bigger than the Nissan Qashqai, Skoda Karoq and the Mazda CX-5. It's not quite as big as a Peugeot 5008, but it is very similar to what the Hyundai Tucson offers. If you option the hybrid version, it means the boot space is reduced. The plug-in hybrid reduces it further, but even that is still 540 litres. The boot is a good practical shape, and it also offers a height adjustable floor, so you can lower it down if you want to increase the load capacity or keep it up top and give yourself a bit of underfloor storage. The 1.6 litre petrol engine is very quiet at low speeds with the electric motor running. It feels nimble and is fairly quick. The hybrid petrol engine sounds strained though when pushed. There's no immediate acceleration, but it's definitely got more than enough power for motorway journeys and long distance cruises. At low speeds it's so nice and quiet, it's hushed, but the gearbox could be better. It's a 6-speed auto, it's not a CVT, which is quite rare in the hybrid systems. In terms of the handling, it's relaxed at cruising speeds. The body control is good and the steering is nice. It's perhaps a bit vague around the straight ahead compared to a Tucson. The Sportage is pretty big. It's around the size of an ID4 but deceptively doesn't look as big. There's a jump in price going from the regular engines up to the hybrid options, but if it's within your budget then it'll be worth your while. It's well equipped as standard, but you might want to consider starting at K3 trim because you get the plush interiors, the big screens, and some luxuries like heated front and rear seats, heated steering wheel and adaptive cruise control. The latest generation Sportage easily matches the quality of past versions, as it looks to match the popularity of the previous generation, which was a huge seller. Despite the Hyundai Tucson being a slightly cheaper hybrid family SUV, the Sportage is a polished and better looking in our opinion. A major bonus that comes with the Kia is the 7-year warranty is standard.